mention a vision. Because since I was a little kid and I was growing up in a very dysfunctional family, and then eventually I ended up in an orphanage when I was maybe 12, I think 12, 13, when I ended up in an orphanage. So I was a teenager already. And then I always had this vision of what not to do. Sometimes I think it's awesome to reverse the process. And I didn't have many examples of what to do. I had many examples of what not to do.
Right.
And that's how I started creating my vision of what not to do. Because when you know what not to do, then you've already excluded a part of, hey, we're not going there. We're not going. My family, my business is not going to be dysfunctional. I'm not going to be an alcoholic gambler and someone who is completely lost, like my family, my parents. No education. So I decided, hey, I'm going to be very practical. I have to be. I'm going to learn what it means to create a business, what it means to be a productive member of society.
Right.
So I'm going to be the opposite of what my family, because I just saw that we were extracting a lot. Extracting meaning, for example, my mother was a beggar, which is an interesting story. I'm happy to mention about it now. But
because I think this is our first episode. I want people at least get to know who we are, you know? Who are these chumps talking to me about vision and stuff? So yeah, please do. And then,
many people, I think it's maybe one of the first podcasts that I've ever revealed that my mother was a beggar. And then when I was 7, maybe 8 years old, I would go and ask people for money in front of a church. Not many people knew about that. And I don't know why my mother did that. She could go to work and earn money, but she decided to do that for some reason. Again, dysfunctional family. I'm not gonna go into breaking this all down. We could just go for hours or until the next Christmas begins. I don't want to go into that, but my point is there is a lesson to that, and that taught me something. It taught me to ask for help, and seek. Matthew 7:7. Ask, and it should be answered. Knock, and it should be open, right? So that's always been true in my life, even though I couldn't articulate, formulate, put a frame around it. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because me as a young entrepreneur, I also learned to ask for help. But now this is a different frame. It's not asking in front of a church. It's asking for help, in a business setup. It's a different type of ask. And so that's what I see a lot of people struggle with. And sometimes, I'm struggling with this as well, but it showed me that there's so many good people on this planet that want to help, that want to guide you. And so fast forward from the kid, very, very poor background. I was growing up in a post-communistic country in Poland, and then ended up in an orphanage. And I decided that I'm going to, number one, exclude everything that I've seen my parents did. And then I'm going to apply and look for mentors, look for guidance, look for people that are where I want to be. And I'm going to this vision. That's where I started creating this vision. And I'm like, wow, how about I imagine, because I heard stories of people immigrating from Poland to the UK. And I heard that they managed to create a successful business and it was so, I've never, I never went on the plane until I was 19 years old. Never. I never traveled anywhere because we didn't have any money. Yeah. I never fixed my teeth. I had crooked teeth. I fixed them later on in my 20s. But
that's great.
Yeah. Oh man, my teeth were so crooked.
Really?
Oh yeah. And so then I had this vision, and then I started creating myself. And in this process of my vision, And that vision was very blurry. I just had kind of lied. So my first lie was, how about I need to learn how to speak English, number one. And number two, I need to immigrate to the UK, to London. So when I was 19, I graduated from this IT technical school in Poland. And I just booked one-way ticket to London, even though despite the people that I knew in Poland telling me, stay in Poland, you're going to end up sleeping under the bridge somewhere in London. And I didn't care. I'm like, and I had $500 maybe when I went with this one-way ticket to London. I did not know anyone, no one.
So what gave you that? What gave you that
vision? I had a lot. I didn't know all
vision, and that's what pushed you to go to London.
So go back to the vision.
Dire circumstances, right?
So I excluded what not to do. I've never smoked any joints. I was never involved in any drugs. I'm like probably the cleanest of the cleanest people that you've ever seen. I've never taken any drugs. I've never had issues with alcohol. Yes, sometimes, occasionally, I'll have a drink to celebrate something, but because I've excluded everything of what not to do, then I went into vision, and that vision, because I didn't have many examples and I wasn't yet confident. I didn't have any capital. I didn't know how to do it, how to execute. But I had this, I had a lot of stamina, and this vision started formulating. And one of the images that when I was younger, it was first like I saw families that were celebrating, for example, Christmas, when I was walking around, and singing, carols to ask for money as well in Poland. And I saw those families that were sitting around the table together, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I've never had that with my family. I would love to have that.
Powerful.
Just in a normal family setting. And then the vision turned into, oh, wow, you know what? I see myself. I'm walking in central London. I'm not even in London. I'm walking in central London, and I see myself walking with this kind of backpack or something for laptop. And I'm walking to my office in central London. I didn't know what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to London and I'll create that. So just to wrap it up quickly, because I want to go to this vision and just to close the loop on it. So I created this vision of me first going to London and then creating a business. And then I just saw myself every day walking to the office with my laptop. And then five years, fast forward 5 years, I posted even on Instagram. I can show you after the recording, or we can post it here. I'm literally going to our office in London, central London. We had a contract with Canon. I'm walking with this freaking suitcase and my laptop. I'm wearing a blue shirt. I had braces, so I was starting working on myself. I bought my first investment property, started traveling the world. That was maybe my third year in London. So I imagine from zero. And again, on some other podcasts, I explained, like how I got there and all the jobs. But here I wanted to just go to and kind of just an overview. And then I see myself that this vision has just realized. And I'm literally just living this vision. And I'm like, wow, dude, like what else can I thought about it 5 years ago. And now I'm living this. So the next thing my next vision was, as I started traveling, my next vision was, I see myself in the US and I am building this huge business and we're helping thousands of people and families and we hire them. And I have this huge vision in the US. So the next question was, how do I take this this business from the UK with 20 employees, and how do we scale it to 1,000 employees? I want to help 1,000 families. I want to give work to 1,000 families and build $1 billion business. And that's my vision. That's where I'm going. But at the end of the day, I also want to help kids in orphanages because I've been there and I've done that. And that's my next vision that's clarified now. And I have tools, I have capital, I have resources, I have awesome business partners like you. and that's the next vision.
Amen.
And
Let's go.
that vision is comprised of the little smaller visions that
Yeah.
some other people have, and then we meet here and we have a vision as well. Vision Room. I love the name, by the way. It's an awesome name.
It just came to me like literally 5 minutes before we got on.
You see, because you're creative.
Whoever's listening, sometimes you just got to make a decision.
So Marcus, maybe you're gonna give us an intro because you work for some of the biggest businesses.
Yeah. So what's crazy here?
Italiano.
What I love about
maybe tell us a little bit more about your story and your experience.
Yeah. Well, first off, what I love about the contrast between Marcin and I is we can't have two complete opposites in one vision room. Marcin is linear. He's technical.
What do you mean by that? Explain that. Linear.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you. So Marcin is straight shooter. He knows what he wants. He gets it. Problem with me and most creatives, we have way too many ideas. Too many ideas. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about either being paralyzed with too many ideas or having a good vision, but not even know how to execute. I know how to execute. See, that's the problem. It's easy for me to execute on multiple visions. And what happens is I just get bottlenecked because I want to do this and this and this. Oh, we can start this. I'm a starter. I'm also a finisher. That's kind of rare because I can start something and I can finish something. And so, so my background is I'm a kid with ADHD. I didn't even know at the time. I knew it later in life, but I was all over the place when I was a kid. I went for about 5 or 6 different degrees, didn't finish any of them. Started them, didn't finish.
What degrees did you go? What degrees did you go after?
Oh, I went after business. I was going to be a doctor. I was going to be in hotel restaurant management. I was going to be all these things. And I was listening to other people what I should be instead of having my own vision of where I should go. And finally, I said, I'm none of those things. I'm a freaking creative. I was the first grader that got first place in drawing our school's school fair poster. I was the kid that was picked out of a bunch of kids in my art class to be the one that painted a mural for my art teacher for her office wall, which was Tom and Jerry. Tom behind Jerry. Jerry's the mouse. Tom is the cat. Running after Jerry on a Harley Davidson motorcycle with dust flying in the air. That was the mural. I don't know why I picked that, but I picked it. And so by the ripe old age of 26, I finally entered art school. So I was a late bloomer. I started late. I was always late to the game, But 20 years, I've been in this business for 20 years now, and I never look back. So I've started my own design agencies. I've also worked for high tech, big namers like PayPal.
Yeah, drop some big names here.
Yeah, PayPal was a great company I worked for. Loved being there. Shout out to Jacqueline Cisneros and Anjali Desai. I'm going to just drop some names. Love them so much. Did some great work with some other companies. Ended up working in Nashville for Dave Ramsey for a while. I was running some of his creative teams at first. And
Nashville is awesome.
Nashville is great. Then, just started focusing on more being not managing people, but more focusing on building products with creative teams, including smartdollar.com. It was great. And and then I moved back to California because this is where all my family is. And we had a vision to come back out here because after 2020, pandemic, we took a hiatus, went around the country in an RV, which I highly recommend any father.
I remember that, and we just started working together.
Yeah. And that's when I met you. And worked on CharityBooster.com, which is a great company. Loved working on that project with you. And now I have my own company called Meazzo Branding Company. And what I do is I help CEOs that have a vision and take that vision and make it a reality to create a top trusted brand in their industry. And how we do it, it all starts with the vision and the taking that idea and making it clear. Because the thing is, if Donald Miller said this, if you confuse, you lose. And I love that. It says it perfectly. If you are not clear why you're doing what you're doing and what you're going to do to solve a problem, no one's going to believe you. So, and we need to make believers out of our customers. And the only way to do that is convince them that you can help them, one, and you can help them and they can count on you. And a good brand is trustworthy, right? And so we'll talk about all that stuff too. How do we make a trustworthy brand out there in a sea of imitators? I'm going to say there's a lot of imitators out there. There's a lot of people just wanting to make a buck, which is noble.
How do you produce trust?
Do what you say. Let your yes be yes, your no be no. That's a good biblical principle, right? Don't overpromise. That's a good one. Start where you're at. Start with what you can deliver on now, right? I know you may have a vision to do a million things, but this is some of the things I can offer. Like, I try to do it all. I try to do too much. Start simple. What do you think about that, Marcin? Do you agree?
Totally, yeah. From the overpromise, it brings me always back to sales, to my sales training.
Yeah.
And remember, I just started sales, which I kind of hated because I didn't understand it at the beginning. To then really being intrigued by and convinced that everything is about sales. Everything is about sales. But doesn't mean you need to be, selling like a this
like sort of salesman.
Yeah, I don't know why.
There's a stigma with sales, isn't there? There's like a stigma, like a sliminess.
Yeah, I know, but at the end of the day, we're all selling. Kids are selling. We are selling. When we go to work, we're selling to our boss for the boss to employ us, or we're selling to the company that we work for because there are clients. Someone is paying for our work, so we're selling. We're always selling, and that's why when I learned that we're selling regardless of what you think about it, of sales, then it dawned on me that I have to learn it. And so from overpromising, let's say you want to hire me, or let's say I go and I find this girl and I tell her, hey. And by the way, I can actually tell you, but I had some of the people telling me, hey, remove that black stallion from your Instagram. I'm like, why? Why would you doubt me? Yesterday, I posted about Satan, that what would Satan do? That's from Brad, actually. He talked about it. It's like, what would Satan do if you wanted you to fail? And then he would introduce obstacles. Like he would... sow fear and doubt, bring like unhealthy relationships,
mm-hmm.
and that made me think. That made me think about, oh wow! So why would I not overpromise to myself? But so when I say overpromise, I don't mean that I'm not gonna deliver. I'm gonna make you excited. I call it attitude. My attitude and Pavel from our business is like, never overpromise, never say that because they're gonna like, if you tell them our value is going to go down.